Okay, here we go. So, everybody, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up to learn a little bit more about Jira Service Management. Excited to have you here. So, I want to give you a sense of the agenda. Normal couple minutes towards intros here, what we're about. Don't want to spend too much time on us because we want to get into a flurry of tips or perspectives that we see on a number of topics that we like as an Atlassian partner. And then with all of our webinars, we like to make it a little crazy on the front end and then open up time for questions, because I know a lot of you come in, you have specific challenges with your use case. As an Atlassian partner, we know that. So, you know, we want to make time for that, and I'll reiterate that in a second. But very, very briefly, we're an Atlassian partner. We help out Atlassian customers in a hands-on keyboard way. Everything you see on the right there is what we do for the Atlassian world. You can see we have additional partnerships as an AWS partner and other partners in the Atlassian marketplace, developer community. We've been around since 2015. So Kristen and I are covering things today for you. Consider us resources for you. So you can always reach out to us. Look at Kristen's wonderful post noms here and all these things she's accomplished. I have very little under my belt here, but we're both here to help you. So, yeah, we are always open to connect. So a little housekeeping from our side. If any of you guys are going to Vegas, what is it? 3 weeks away, something like that. 4 weeks away. We're going to be there at booth number 83. So we got a booth this year. So stop by, say hi. Maybe we could buy you some drinks or something. So I don't know how many of you are going to Vegas. We'd love to physically meet you there. Also, we're the hosts of JiraCon. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but big virtual event. We had 600 plus speakers last year, 70 speaking sessions, all that stuff. It's like a low cost virtual conference, kind of pave your own way, attend the sessions you want kind of session, or sorry, type of event. It's really awesome, but we're doing that October 4th. But you know, since we've made this initial contact, we'll remind you once in the year when we open up registrations for that. So just stay tuned for that stuff. So before we start, we are going to cover some stuff that's kind of experty or more advanced. We're going to cover a lot of stuff that's very newbie stuff. So when you make a webinar that's titled, you know, 10 tips, you sort of have to cover the spectrum. Again, we're totally aware that you guys may have specific needs, and we want to get to that. We're going to run through our 31 or so slides. It may inspire questions on your side. You can always throw those questions on Q&A or chat, and Noah and Eli are on our side over here, able to kind of queue those up. So when we get to the point where we can open up questions and you want to pick our brains on stuff, maybe mostly Kristen's brain, less on mine, we will have those ready for you. You know, keep aware of that stuff, and we don't want to leave you hanging at all. Okay, cool. Awesome. So number one, and this is a basic, very basic, guys. So when you are starting to build in Jira Service Management, you want to do it all intentionally, right? So definitely take the time. Don't just start building, but discover your existing practices, understanding them at a deeper level, and identifying areas of improvement, and figuring out how to improve those existing practices. That sounds really basic, but it kind of boils down or is reduced down to a set of questions where you'll have to work with your stakeholders to kind of have it flushed out of them when you start with Jira Service Management. I will give you these slides, everybody, so you can have these. So nobody needs to scribble down these questions. Here's some of the ones that we cover when we do initial discovery projects with customers. So be very intentional about your design. Our thing is to generally not try to boil the ocean. Start simple and add layers of improvement thereafter, but it still starts with a lot of these questions. Number two, obviously, make your portal work for you. We can cover a lot of the things about how, you know, there are some limitations to it, especially in the cloud and the level of branding that you can do. But there's sort of a long tail items that we will cover today that make the portal itself work harder, work better for you. It obviously making it look like what you're your brand, tenants are, follow is important with a banner and logo and what have you. But arranging for your projects, the different service desks you have, and then going into how your requests are arranged are a very important part of having a customer feel that they can quickly address or communicate their problem, issue, or need to you. So obviously these are fundamentals of the help center. Kristen, you want to talk about the 6x6 rule, maybe?
Absolutely. So whenever we are setting up the portal, one of the biggest recommendations that I have is a 6x6 rule. And the purpose for that is to be able to maximize your real estate on the page, and also try to minimize the amount of requests that you have for a user to search through. So if you try to incorporate the 6x6 rule, it will give you approximately 6 groups with 6 different requests in each of those groups. And then also something just to kind of add into there is whenever you are creating these request types, you do have the ability to customize them. So you can select different icons to make them fun or make it pertain to what exactly that request type is.
Awesome. Yeah, and that catch-all request is great. There's also another one you could add, which is how can we improve our services? So you always want to hear from the voice of the customer. And add those over time so you can understand how to fill your backlog of improvements going forward. Cool. Last thing, one of the newer features is topics. So rather than being stuck to sort of fixed lists of Jira Service Management projects right from the start below the search bar, they have now something called topics, and you can actually manipulate the themes of those. So you could have something like, around the office types of requests, and it kind of bring these or some stuff. Yeah, new hire basics is the example there in the middle you see in the square. So again, more of a warmer or more context-based layout for services, rather than having someone necessarily rely on search if they don't see the actual project or project category down below that kind of fits their need. You may be able to learn over time about, as the requests come in, how to demand shift or present those things that are more common in a different way by topic. Awesome. Okay, setting up knowledge to deflect repetitive work. I'm sure many of you are already, if you are a Jira Service Management customer, you're already using Confluence. It's not always the case with all Jira Service Management customers, but just to reiterate, and again, this is more of a basic of how utilizing a knowledge base to deflect work that is probably, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the work that your agents do, sorry, 80% is by, anyways, the most common or easiest stuff that churns your customers, the more repetitive. You want to be able to put that into a knowledge base that will show up in either in the portal, in the ticket, or on the agent side. So Jira Service Management, if you do the right tagging structure with your knowledge base articles, it will really persist on suggested articles to make it so that somebody doesn't have to make a ticket themselves. They can do it, the work themselves, or if a ticket is created, the agent can easily see the suggested article to send over and close the ticket after that knowledge base article has been sent over. Kristen, anything to add to what I said there with Confluence?
No, I think you summed that up pretty well.
Other than my 80-20 flub, I mean, maybe I could say it was a long day, but it's not really been a long day yet. Awesome, cool. Organizations and groups, guys. So you're going to want to, if you have a Jira Service Management or service catalog that is of any size, and your company is of any size, and you obviously have to serve a more diverse set of customers, however you define those customers, internally or externally, you may want to set up organizations or groups to restrict what customers see in the portal, to be able to obviously refine and have the most appropriate or offered services for that group. And also having those groups set up, you can do some conditional logic on how things are prioritized or tickets are assigned. So based on the agent who may be assigned to a certain set of work, certain group, or if you have, let's say, we work with a music a publisher company, and let's say they run Beyonce's catalog. You want to make sure Beyonce's team is happy, right? So anything that comes in from Beyonce's team, it goes straight to the right people rather than a general pool of tickets, right? So yeah, anything to add there, Kristen, on organizations or groups?
Yeah,
Tips?
it'll just help with by selecting the organization. It can help you with setting up automation to automatically route specific email domains to those organizations who you choose to share those tickets with or restrict those tickets. So it really helps with automation, triage, prioritization.
Sweet. All right, best practice forms. Forms are a webinar or 5 webinars on their own right as a topic. There's a ton of stuff that we could talk about here. Unfortunately, we're only going to give it 1 slide. And if you guys want to talk about form capabilities and Atlassian's acquisition of Proforma and how that's changed the game a bit on making awesome forms that are really easy and efficient, we can cover that. But for this webinar's sake, we're just going to say, look, it's really important to get your forms right. I know that seems very elementary, right? But they are the foundations of relationships or processes that occur on the back end afterwards. So you have to be very intentional about what you present. Obviously, you want to present only the minimum amount of information required to be able to get work done. Optional work means it is optional, but you want to be minimalist, and you want to have a simple language enough where it's really direct about what people are supposed to use that field form. And of course, you have structured forms, and then you have open forms, right? There's different conditional logics you can do with how language is used on open forms or unstructured ones, where it's like, tell me about your problem, and you have 200 characters to do it, versus drop down boxes and what have you. But that conditional logic can be really powerful to allow you to have a short form, and based off of the choices that they make, more things can show up on the bottom and extend it so that you want to meet that goal of the form being submitted or the request being made. No one wants to be frustrated from the start. They want to know that choices they're making are bringing up the valid or appropriate new entries, whether it's new form items or whatever it is in their path. So we're really big on that. Anything to add, Kristen?
Yeah, something really what I like about forms is when you go to configure your portal, say for intake of requests or incidents, you have the ability, the forms pulls up, it looks kind of like a Word document, and then they have a bunch of different templates that you can get started with. So I really like that, because when you are starting from scratch, you may not know exactly what all fields you want, or you may want to just kind of have a template to get started with. So that's really nice. And forms can be used on the portal side for some submission of tickets. And then it also can be used on the agent or the approval side for agents to maybe have checklists, or people to have to submit a form to approve. They can electronically sign it and approve it through the workflow. So forms are really useful. Again, you can use templates, or you can start from scratch and build your own. Cool. And like Patrick said, you could have probably 5 different webinars on forms.
Yeah. You can really geek out on stuff. We actually, this webinar, we wanted to first make it just about forms. And when the engineering team was starting to give me suggestions, my eyes glazed over a bit. And I'm like, well, this is a little too specific. This is really digging deep. So that's why we generalized it. Anyways. Awesome. Oh,
this is my favorite. This is I have to chime in. Okay, so this is my favorite part and tip about Jira Service Management. So you have the ability to configure, kind of like your phone. Everyone could have the same phone, but you could pick mine up and it could have, picture background of my children and, pretty font or whatever. So some things that you can do with Jira Service Management on the queues dashboard side is that you can make your queues more custom to add in emojis. You could, instead of having the list that's on the left side on that picture, on the right side, you could have different tiers or categories, and it can make it look like it's tiered or leveled by adding those specific emojis or icons. Again, this is more of just like a look and feel and a fun thing to do to add to your service desk. It does boost morale and culture, believe it or not. And then also it can be customized by user, team, things like that.
Is the maximum of 50, is that for an individual or an entire instance?
Yeah, so that's why I kind of tie in dashboards with queues, is because with Jira Service Management, each of the service desks that you have, they do have a max queue limit of 50. So if you have multiple teams or more teams than 50 working off of queues, one workaround that we've kind of created to get around that is create a dashboard for each of the teams that they can have a specific dashboard where they triage and work off of, instead of working out of the queue and working out of like a list. They could create a custom dashboard. Again, you can add in all those cute little icons or customize it by the colors and things, and different widgets and things like that. But we have a lot of my teams have started using dashboards instead of the queues, because it helps each team to customize what they want to see. It allows them to quickly see tickets that are assigned to them or tickets that need to be triaged. So again, this is my favorite section because I like to customize stuff. I don't like to use just out of the box black and white Jira. So this is where queues and dashboards really shine. And then the JQL part of it, that goes into the back end. That's your filtering of how you are going to set up your queues. How are you going to set up your dashboards by those specific filters? But not only does JQL spread across filtering, you also, with Jira Service Management, you have advanced JQL. So you have those advanced features of looking up and filtering queues, reports by approvals, pending functions, time to SLA, different SLA functions. So those are in addition to just the basic JQL out of Jira. They offer all of the different functions for Jira Service Management.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, comms, guys. Slack, Teams, Zoom. So you don't have to dive your head into Jira Service Management all day long to make it work for you. So man, Kristen may, defy me here. So anyways, you can create tickets, resolve swarm tickets, start video calls, collaborate with stakeholders, and send out notifications using your chat tools you're familiar with. Vastly improves your MTTR. Not everyone uses it. I don't know what percent of our customers who you work with, Kristen, effectively use chat.
Well, now they 100% use it since the beginning of the year, just because at the beginning of the year, Atlassian did a lot of updates, and they revamped how they did the communications, and with Slack and Teams and Zoom, they make it so easy to set up your integration. You can literally set it up within about 5 minutes, and you could start chatting with your team or chatting about a specific incident that you're working on. And then it also helps for those users or people that don't want to constantly toggle back and forth between the tool and the different tools. So I really like, from the admin side and the functionality of configuration, I like how easy it is to set up, but I also like how it is, how easy it is to communicate about an incident or incidents, and how it just kind of works back and forth. It's like when you're in Jira, Service Management, and you have an incident open and you want to chat or you want to open up a call, you click on a button and the window pops up and it's right there. You don't have to do any additional work to get that meeting started.
So it's like an Opsgenie Junior.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that analogy.
This is what I did. Okay, cool. Automation rules. Another topic that can be a lot of webinars themselves, but automation, guys, just to this picture on the right helps. But setting up automations, you need a trigger, a condition, and an action, and you can do a trillion different things with them, right, Kristen? So Jira, with the acquisition of automation for Jira, that the add-on, I think is that from ThinkTilt, I can't remember the developer. They bought them, what, 2 years ago or so, rolled it into Jira Serve, the premium cloud. If I'm not wrong, Kristen, I don't know if it's in standard.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's in premium cloud. Okay. So low code, no code options for automation. Let's go through some that you like here.
1 second. So automation for Jira is also free for server and data center. And then what's cool about automation, it's kind of like forms. You can either start from scratch for a specific automation that you want to create, or it has preset automations or templates that you can use. And then you can also customize it and from a single project level to a complete global level for automations. And whether you're at the global level or at the team level, when you go into the automation section for the first time, it will give you some suggestions on some automations that may be beneficial for you. So it will walk you through that. And even if you've never set up an automation, or even if you're not a developer, you can come in here and it will walk you through and explain every single line item, and it gives you options, and it's kind of like a no-fail tool.
So we're going to go through some examples of automations, right?
Yeah, so these examples are whenever I work with customers and I set up a Jira a service desk for them, these are kind of the must-have automations that I recommend. And the purpose for this is my biggest thing about discovery and delivery of a service desk is value and visibility. So with each of these automations, there's a purpose for them. The first one is to set customer expectations. I like to inform the customers and send those automated emails or comments to let them know, hey, we've received your email. We will get with you within, maybe it's a service agreement of 3 days. Kind of just communicate with them and set those expectations of what they can expect. The example that I put here is if they requested a laptop, it takes 5 business days. So at least the customer knows what to expect, and then they won't need to follow up. These next 3 are auto triage or automations to either auto triage the emails based on priority or specific teams that they need to go to. So you can do that. Auto close old tickets, all those stale tickets that are sitting out there. I'm sure you guys all know this. I am probably guilty I'm at the top guilty for it is, hey, we've completed your request. Is there anything else you need from us, or please rate, please approve it or rate it. If you don't hear from someone, your request is approved or your request is completed, you don't have time to go back and update that ticket. So after 5 days, you could say, hey, we haven't heard from you. We're going to automatically close that ticket. And then it automatically closes those old tickets. But then also you can add in additional automation to say, if a customer comes back and says, oh, hey, my issue's not fixed, it could just reroute it to reopen that ticket.
Yeah, doing Atlassian tickets with, you're used to that kind of automatic messaging. For
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Auto closing. Yeah.
Yep. And then the auto close, some of these automations are automatically built into Jira. You just need to choose, they're part of those templates I was talking about. So you could either choose to just say, yeah, I want to enable this automation. You click on and it works. So some of these you don't even have to build out. Auto approve ticket, that's another automation you can build if you're trying to submit a ticket to get something approved and it's under $100. Maybe you want to auto approve it. You can set something up like that. Other automations about priority, That's a no-brainer. A lot of, I don't think I've ever had a service desk automation not have prioritized automations. Assign tickets to the right people. Maybe you have a support group you want to have them assigned to. Maybe you have a specific person you want to assign it to. You can assign that.
Beyonce, right? That's why I mentioned Beyonce.
Yeah. And
No,
then the last one, I'm sorry, what was that?
Come full circle.
Yeah. And then the last one, this is again specific to Jira Service Management. You can set up automations to escalate those SLAs that are getting ready to breach. So maybe you want to escalate it to the specific manager or stakeholders and let them know.
Cool. We're at number 9 already. So don't ignore integrations. Oh, yet another fourth time I'm going to mention it's a big topic on its own right. But when you're doing, your application mapping and relationships between your applications, your infrastructure, monitoring tools, what your development team needs or would require out of it. There's a million different things that you could do, mapping your relationship with end users and management and what have you. Obviously there's 5,000 add-ons in the marketplace. There's Atlassian's core products, which, dovetail perfectly in with the other Atlassian tools to increase their network power and their power as a solution as a whole. You obviously also, there's very powerful webhooks and REST APIs that you get with Atlassian. We'll talk about a few that, for our JSM customers utilize, not all of them do, but Statuspage is one. Obviously you can present a page in which your customers can view the status of a critical service you have or what have you. If there's an incident with its Jira Service Management, it kind of depends on a notification structure you want to set based off of rules, but obviously you can have your status page notifications show up on your portal or even at different parts of your touch points with your service management as a customer to get notified or to access a status page. That's a separate product. Opsgenie, if you guys are a cloud premium customer, you already get Opsgenie. If you don't know what Opsgenie is, it's a monitoring and incident management tool on steroids. They acquired it 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's part of Jira Service Management Premium. We just wrote a white paper comparing PagerDuty to Opsgenie. If you're considering the two, I can send that your way. But there are bi-directional relationships between what happens in Opsgenie, since incident management is a core aspect of service management. You can, obviously, if there's a Jira Service Management ticket that comes in and is qualified as incident worthy, it will speak to Opsgenie. Comments or notifications or alerts or statuses are bi-directional between the two tools to a certain degree. Kristen and I agree. Before this call, Chris and I were saying, if somebody has a lot of Opsgenie questions, we may have to bring, David in from our side or what have you. But obviously, Opsgenie is it's a great tool. If you have always on services and you guys count hours of downtime in the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per hour. Certainly that happens at the enterprise level.
Yeah.
And then assets. So it used to be called Insight. As an acquisition from Atlassian for delivering on CMDB asset management. Insight's a great way a great tool because many of the services or tickets or issues are tied to the life cycle of an asset. Or you could count that asset as a human being, a contract, hardware, the laptop or whatever it is, server components, what have you, scheduling, maintenance on things or whatever. And then there's a degree of discovery that you can do with Insight to see where what assets you have within your network. And they're structured behind object schema and types and attributes and what have you. And obviously the work you would do can triangulate off of the life cycle of that asset tracked in Insights. And again, if you are a cloud premium customer, you have assets, correct, Kristen?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And there's a lot of automation. You can do all of that stuff too. Yeah. So it kind of layers in and compounds exponentially. Shameless plugs. We're at number 10, everybody. We're about to stop. Shameless plugs for our apps. So, and they are tied to Jira Service Management. We have a product called Secure Forms for Jira. If you, let's say, for example, you are doing HR tickets in Jira Service Management, and there's a field for somebody's salary range, and the people who are working on a ticket, not all of them, you don't want all of them to see what the negotiated salary of that person was, but a certain person, you do want to allow permissions to see that information in the ticket. You can use secure forms, a lot of different use cases for basically hiding attachments or controlling sensitive information that within a ticket that will allow multiple people to work on a ticket, but only privileged people to see information. Another one on the right, smart assignments and rotations for Jira. If you want to set up kind of a round robin, kind of creating schedules and rotations for global teams, and based off of their working day, holiday schedule, vacation times, or what have you, have a nice way to even out ticket assignments and auto assign, you can use that. So we're always happy to talk about those products. We're all done for now for the presentation side. We're going to open up for questions. First thing I'm going to do is stop recording. So we'll do that.